It's DHA's Reconnect with Rockers. I am super excited because I'm not reconnecting with this gentleman. I'm connecting with him for the very first time. Simon Neil from Biffy Clyro. I'm a Biffer, so I am so excited to be hanging out with you today. Thank you so much for joining us and for connecting with us in the state of New Jersey, man. Great to see you.
It's fantastic to see you. It's thank you for having me on the show, and I'm pleased to hear you're a Biffer. You look at, I knew there was something I loved about you, Terrie.
We can tell each other. We can tell each other. First of all, I want to talk to you a little bit about just starting, out with putting out a great record, Celebration of Ending, something you're really excited about, and then having the breaks go on, and you got to go from a May release to an August release.
Yeah.
So what has that been like for you as an artist? I mean, obviously, we're all thinking health and safety first, but there's definitely got to be a level of disappointment.
Yeah, there is, absolutely. The first layer is just hoping that everyone's safe and healthy. So once, now that we're all into the swing of things, kind of the disappointment has started to take root a little, because now the context of everything is things are slowly, we're having to find a new way of living, which I think the sooner we find that, the better. But I feel as though it's just been a big, like a stick stuck in the spokes of my bike. I feel like I've been going full speed ahead and someone's just stuck the stick in and I've gone over the handlebars and hit the road. So it's strange because even these songs, we recorded them like last year. So they're already a few months, we're already a little bit ahead of the album anyway. And normally as soon as the album's released, I just start working the next project, and having to wait an extra few months, I'm really struggling with, when you're creative, you always feel that you're looking for the next thing and the next challenge. And unfortunately, that has been taken away. So pretty disappointed. But in the scheme of things, when it comes down to people's health and their financial security and how we get on with things, I appreciate that it's a very first world problem, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I am disappointed. But having said that, Terrie, this record is going to be as good in August as it was in May. So it's going to be worth the wait.
Absolutely. Well, you guys you described it as a very forward-looking release. And there's always been an element, and this is what I love about the band, there's always been an element of spontaneity. There's an authenticity and a spontaneity. So like, even when I would see photos of you guys, they'd be like, wait, that's Biffy? Wait, that's Simon? There's just always something different. There's never been that resting on the laurels or making part two of something or being afraid to take a chance. You guys are not afraid to take a chance. You're not, you will not be put into any kind of a box. There's no way necessarily to describe your sound, except just it's a constant evolution. Great live band. So talk to me a little bit about that. A forward-looking release. What does that mean?
Yeah, I guess I feel like, see, when I see some bands or artists that kind of do a similar version of what they do, I'm like, as a human being, I think we change so much every couple of years of our lives, and every new experience makes you view your decisions differently. And some things that you took as pure truth for the start of your life, you can sometimes think, well, maybe that isn't actually always true. So for me, when I write songs, I just want to be honest about where I am at that moment in my life. When I was 20, I wanted to make really abrasive, ugly music. I wanted to really press people's buttons. But I'm really glad I'm not making the same music now that I was when I was 20. I feel I'm wiser, I hope. I hope we're all slightly wiser. Yeah. But, it's so this album, having been a band for 20 years and being a grown-up for a little while, I really feel like I've seen such a change in the start of this kind of century in the last 20 years, being a teenager as basically the millennium came in, and then kind of seeing how things have changed, seeing how people's things we took for granted have maybe been worn away, things like honesty and truth and virtue and empathy and things, a lot of things that my parents instilled in me as the most important thing. Honesty and being truthful is more important than a lot of other things. And I feel like in the last 5-10 years, that's maybe been eroded a little. So on this album, I really wanted to kind of talk about, from my perspective, about how I feel we need to reclaim the virtues that we have as humans that are going to make us better people, a better community, better socially, better in art. And it isn't about closing doors and shutting ourselves off. You know, in the UK, we've gone through, I think, Brexit at the moment, where we're kind of cutting ourselves off from the rest of Europe. So it's been very explicit to me about the decisions that are being made at the moment that I just think are backwards looking. So for the album, I very much, the songs are about shaking off things from the last 20 years that I just don't want to be in my life, and reclaiming what I see my future being in it. I want to surround myself with positive people. I want to be surrounded by people that I care about. I want to hit a better level of what is of value to us as people. And I think this lockdown and coronavirus has forced us all to maybe rebalance a little bit with work, rebalance with who we should give our time to. You know, family, friends are so important. And I found it a lot easier to perhaps cut things out of my life that I haven't been enjoying during this lockdown. You know, maybe certain people that I'm friends with and I like, but maybe I don't want to spend lots of time with them. And then other people that I've neglected, and I want to talk to them all the time. So it's trying to find those things that we cherish that really bring us joy. And that's kind of what the album is about, to a certain extent, just stripping off those ugly things that we carry with us, that sometimes we just, before you realize you're carrying like a bunch of extraneous and unnecessary opinions and things. And I just wanted to start again. And that's where I feel like, being in the year 2020, I felt that we were hitting a rebirth anyway, but because of all this coronavirus, I think there's no way that the human race can't come out of this without a sense of enlightenment,
Mm-hmm.
you know, on some level, you know, and I just hope we start to value things that really are going to see us through till the day we die, you know, not things that just make us happy this month or next month, but things that are going to make us happy ongoing.
That definitely was like my Biffy 2020, you know, kind of question. And yeah, I absolutely see that. And it's almost like the record had a bit kind of a foreshadowing too. And you know what freaked me out? When I was reading a little bit about the record and when it was going to come out, and I mean, I was reading in February, we're going to get the May release of A Celebration of Endings. I was like, wait a minute, I can't be reading this right. We can't be like 9 records in.
I know, oh, it's terrifying. I have
Where
to
did that come
myself.
from? Hello? No.
I don't know. It's because I still, especially even now, I still feel like we're just getting started.
Me too.
I do feel like it's only just begun. And then, yeah, we've released 9 studio albums and 5 compilation albums with songs that are unreleased. And actually, that's the one thing. Before we made this record, I have been a little bit aware that every time we're recording now, I want to make sure I'm saying something new and something that I haven't said before. And that can sometimes be harder when you've been a band that's made 8 or 9 records. It's hard musically to say new things, and it's also hard lyrically, which kind of touches back to what I was saying earlier. I don't want to write records that I wrote 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I really need to trust who I am now, because that's the only way I can keep evolving and moving
Let
forward.
me ask you, that's a brave decision. That's a very brave decision, because, you know, people say, oh, this was such a great record. We want you to sound like that again, whether it's a fan base. Although I do think the fan base realizes that they don't know what they're going to get from the band. And that's a big part of the appeal. But, you know, you certainly have people that are publicists and managers. I just talked to somebody last week on this feature who was like, oh, we had a producer and he wanted to change everything about the band. So that's a brave thing to do. I mean, now you're not the band that anybody's going to come in and change. I think that anybody that knows Biffy Clyro and knows of the band knows that. But it certainly is a brave choice on your part to dig your heels in and say, listen, this is who we are. We're not making the same record twice. We don't care.
It's exactly that, because my only structure and formation to it all is the 3 of us, myself, Ben and James. That's how this music all starts. I write the songs, we go in and we mess around with them, and then that becomes the record. So that's the only recurring theme. But, you know, I listen to different music now than I did 20 years ago. You know, I'm actually going through a very abrasive I was only listening to abrasive music yesterday, like I Hate God, a band called Full of Hell, The Body, and I find myself going from like Tina Turner and Rod Stewart one day to like just extreme noise terror the next.
That's good though. That's good. That's great.
Well, I think we're all, the things as human beings, we're all complex people. You know, we're not, none of us are angry all the time or happy all the time or sad. And the music I write is very much a reflection of me. So some of the songs are angry and more abrasive, and some are sad and some are ugly, and I think that that's what we all are. You know, everyone's such a complex person. No one is, in inverted commas, normal. I think we can all agree now that that concept is dissipated with the last century. You know, there's no such thing as normal. We've all got quirks in our own way. We all can be really nice people, and also we can all have our really nasty moments, but it's just about getting those balances and being honest about who we are. And I think as the older I get, I find it easier to kind of embrace all sides of my personality and our band's personality, and I'm not apologetic about it. Unfortunately, there's I'm only putting this earth once. Ben and James are only going to be putting this earth once, and all we can do is be kind of honest to where we are musically, creatively, and not intellectually, because we're not, you know, that makes me sound like an academic.
Intellectually, yeah,
to a certain extent.
Yeah, and you know what else I've loved about you too? You've always been somebody who's been very energized by new music, new sounds.
Yeah.
And not afraid to be like, listen, we're embracing this. I love this. I think it's a great time for rock. I think there's a lot of new sounds coming into rock music. There's no true definition of it. You know, do you still feel as energized? And I love talking to artists who are really energized about what's happening in music. Oops.
Not as popular as you know, trap music or whatever. All the best rock music has always been made kind of slightly out of the mainstream. I think at the moment, because of the way a lot of people stream music, it's just the way that rock fans consume it. I want to listen to a full album. I want to know the 10th song of my favorite band as much as the opening song. And that's just the fact that people that like our music want to know who the band is and find out about them. It's not just, I like that song, I'm going to listen to it 1,000 times. So for me, it kind of reflects, the reflection of where rock music isn't quite true, but I love the fact that it's evolving. You know, we have to evolve. We don't want to aspire to make Black Sabbath records. Now, I love Black Sabbath and AC/DC and Zeppelin. Absolutely no one touches them. But those albums are 50 years old now. And I think it's wonderful when I see new bands really trying to experiment and kind of have an adventure and have fun. And really, why shouldn't they try everything and throw everything at the wall and see what happens? And rock music it's an attitude. Obviously, I love heavy guitars. I love, you know, heavy drums and everything. That's kind of my defining characteristics of it. But I don't see why it can't evolve constantly, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think it is. I think when I see a lot of younger kids are picking up guitars now, and really they're coming at it from a different angle than we were. You know, I came into music through Metallica, Guns N' Roses, then went to Pantera and Slayer. I also loved like Pearl Jam and things, but after Pantera and Slayer, I went into heavier things. Whereas now, you can discover all that in one day. So of course, people are going to process the music differently. You know, you're not waiting for your big brother or your friend or your girlfriend or your boyfriend to introduce you to an album in the same way. You don't have to wait 6 months to hear something. You can go back and you can listen to the entirety of Black Sabbath right now, and then the entirety of Dillinger Escape Plan. And I love, you know, like, to me, that's what we can do in the rock world. And what I love about rock music is the expression of it. It's the truest. Obviously, hip hop has such an, you know, hip hop is documented, you know, they're documenting everything, and it's a beautifully expressive form. But see the emotion that rock singers have when we're either screaming, we're either whispering, we're in falsetto. I just think there's something so primal about a human being standing at banging an instrument, whether they're hitting drums, whether they're smacking their guitar. I just think that is just something that is going to be around forevermore, you know. And that's what classical music was. Classical music was a version of rock music. It was, you know, Paganini. He's playing violin. Like,
absolutely. It's like
Maniac.
the original heavy metal. Literally, I've seen Rob Halford in interviews, and talked to him and had him say, when I was a kid, I was such an opera fan, and the intensity, the storytelling,
Yes.
the
The,
epic feel.
the
I just
drama.
someone with a sword. I just picture like Ronnie James Dio, players. That's you're 100% right, 1,000% right. And
Well, Holy Diver was actually an opera.
that's right.
I'm obviously
Right.
teasing. That'd be hilarious.
You can totally picture it as an opera.
Yeah, you can,
Totally
absolutely.
picture it as an opera, as an epic opera. But let me shift gears completely, because then we get from you guys Instant History, which is this surprise, hooky, poppy, but the lyrics are so, reflective of what's going on. The hook brings you in, makes you feel. So again, talking about that fearless approach to putting out music, where you guys are like, you know what, we're going with this song first. This is going to be the first single.
Yeah, that's what it definitely felt that we wanted to surprise folk with the first song. And when we play that song live, it sounds a bit more like a doom metal song. Believe it or not, it's all droney guitars. But when we were recording it, I just really wanted to push it as far into that corner of kind of not being heavy in a rock sense, but just being like letting the lyrics speak the truth and be the main focus of the song. And the song is about this. It was about kind of discovering the things that you want to change in your life, and how I'm not going to deny who I am as a human being. And if I feel like this is important, I'm going to express it. And there's obviously the different layers of expressing ourselves musically, and this is the sound that we make. But it's more about humanity now. I think this song, it's almost like I feel like we have broken the surface, and the horrors have been awaiting, at this moment with this virus and this pandemic. But you know what? We will get through it. We will survive, because we always have. And it's the spirit of who we are as people. The fact that, I mean, most of us haven't hugged more than one person in the last 8 weeks.
True.
But you know what? It's going to be the first thing we all do when we get out there is to actually have some physical contact with people, and that can never be changed. And that's like the sound we make as humanity. You can't take away what makes us tick as people. In terms of the music of it, I love to really kind of surprise people with the first song off an album. I think it's especially because I know what the rest of the album has, and it's a heavy rock record. It's a ballsy record. I love to kind of give the wrong idea with the first single. It's something a bit obstinate or a bit awkward in me, Terry. I don't really know why, and I think it's probably my punk rock roots that still come through. But yeah, it felt like the right song to bring out first, and as I say, lyrically, it felt like it was important anyway. But now with what's happened with this virus, I think when I sing it now, I really feel it in a different way. I definitely process the lyrics in a different way, and I think once the world gets back to some semblance of sociality or whatever, once we start playing live shows, I think it's going to have a different meaning for me even then. So whenever we play again, it'll probably be next year at some point. But I think all these songs and things are just going to impact me in a different way. But it's definitely not a coronavirus album. That's the one thing. It's a lot more of a positive. It's kind of about us coming through a really tough time, but making the best of it and finding your way to happiness. Because it's not easy. And I think especially at this moment in time, we all appreciate how uneasy it is and how hard it is. But you know what? We all aspire to. Any human being wants us to be happy, and I think we can, and we will once we get through this.
And there's a sense of joy too in that chorus, and in that hook in Instant History. Whenever I hear it, as intense as it is when I'm listening to the lyrics at first, and then we're all grooving and we're all dancing, and you're going to perform for us, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
We got performances for you, because you guys have been doing these like #StayHomeJamWithMe performances, which have been really super cool for the fans. I love the way our artists, look, nobody, your life is not to strive to be an all acoustic operation, for our artists, but everybody's just been so dedicated to wanting to stay connected with fans. You have to do it in some way, shape, or form. That's why we created this feature And you've been doing some great performances, and have agreed to do two performances for us today. So I'm excited. So we'll let you get into the performance room and perform for us. And Simon, I feel like I've known you forever, even though it's like our first, virtual hookup here.
Face to face.
We could literally chat for 2 hours. But listen, I am going to, whether it's me seeing Biffy on the road or you guys being in town and coming by and hanging by the radio station with us, when all is said and done, I want to give you that big virtual, New Jersey hug. And
we will definitely come to you as soon as we can. We will be over here. We had to cancel, as everyone did. We had to cancel all our plans this year because we were coming to see you actually, I think, in June initially.
Yep.
But we will be back next year as soon as we can, and I'm going to give you a big hug and a big thank you. And you know what you're doing for people is so. I love playing music to the fans, and it does a lot for me when I'm playing and know they're watching, and hopefully we feel part of a community. I know what you do is exactly the same thing, and you know what, it's a circle that we're all doing it, because I know that you will feel better doing it as well, knowing that people still, so it's a gift we can give each other. But yeah, I'll get ready for the next few songs, and hopefully you enjoy. And thanks so much for your time.
Simon Neil. And my dog was well behaved. She didn't photobomb you at all. I gave her the headliner at Download Festival, dude. You better not embarrass me. And she
was like, enough said.
Done. Simon, thank you so much, and thank you for the performance, my friend.
Thank you so much. You take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you soon, I hope. Hello, this is Simon from Biffy Clyro, and this is going out to all DHA listeners in New Jersey. Enjoy. Dear God, adjust my dreams for me. All I learned is instant history. Is this how the surface will break, releasing the pressure? Horrors that await, 'cause hell had no fury like a human born. It's only real if you can't replace it. And now I'm losing all control. Why do I fear it? This is the sound that we make. Can you hear it? This is the sound that we make. Can you hear it? Well, I love the sound when it breaks. Can you hear it? This is the sound that we make. Can you hear it? Dear God, shouting in the streets, all our love is instant history. We could go to any time or place, but it's just a nightmare. I'm sure we'll awake. I got a fever in my bones, gets me so high that I can taste it. And now I'm losing all control. Why do I fear it? This is the sound that we make. Can you hear it? This is the sound that we make. I love the sound when it breaks. Can you hear it? This is the sound that we make. Can you hear it? Da 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 da.
losing all control. Why do I fear it? This is the sound that we make, only exist in the noise that we bring. This is the sound that we make. We cannot hear what we heard. But I love the sound when it breaks. We try to position our lives on a string. This is the sound that we make. We cannot learn what we learn. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And this is Black Chandelier. I shouldn't laugh, but I know I'm a failure in your eyes. I know it's daft, but I guess that I know it deep inside. It feels like we're ready to crack these days, you and I. When it's just the two of us, only the two of us, I could die. You left my heart like an abandoned car, old and worn, ain't no use at all. But I used to be free. We're gonna separate ourselves tonight. We're always running scared of holding eyes. Well, there's a black chandelier, it's casting shadows and lights. Drip, 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 drip. I'll sit in silence for the rest of my life, if you like. Dressing your windows with industrial gloves made of wire. Feel it penetrating the skin, we begin to relax. When it's just the two of us and a cute little cup of cyanide. You left my heart like an abandoned car, old and worn, ain't no use at all. But I used to be free. We're gonna separate ourselves tonight. We're always running scared of holding eyes. But there's a black chandelier, it's casting shadows and lights. We're gonna separate ourselves tonight. We're always running scared of holding eyes. But there's a black chandelier. Ooh! Something else is gonna say. You left my heart like an abandoned car, old and worn, ain't no use at all. But I used to be free. We're gonna separate ourselves tonight. We're always running scared of holding eyes. But there's a black chandelier, it's casting shadows and lights. We're gonna separate ourselves tonight. We're always running scared of holding eyes. But there's a black chandelier.
DHA's Reconnect with Rockers is powered by Advantage Contracting and by Karis Lock Company.